I'm Lucille. The mahogany conference table has never felt this long. As I spread the patent documents across it, my 3 siblings sit there, frozen. Their lawyer is frantically flipping through papers that they should have read years ago. My brother, Henry, the eldest at 42, has always been groomed to take over our family's company, Montgomery Enterprises. A Yale MBA, he landed a corner office by 27, and his ego is as big as a mansion. He sits in his $6,000 suit, his mouth opening and closing like a goldfish out of water. "This is impossible," he finally sputters. "Dad would never." "Dad knew exactly what he was doing," I interrupt, my voice steady. "Every single one of these patents is filed under my name. The advanced filtration system, the eco-friendly energy source design, and the smart automation software, all mine." My sister, Olivia, 40, the CFO who's never bothered to understand the core of our business, is scrolling desperately through her phone. "These patents, they're worth about 90% of the company's value," our family lawyer, Mr. Thompson, says helpfully. "Without them, you own a building, some machinery, and a brand with nothing to offer." My youngest brother, Ethan, 37, who was made VP of marketing despite having no real marketing skills, finally speaks up. "But you're just Dad's secretary. You answer calls and schedule meetings." I let out a bitter laugh. "For 15 years, you've walked past my desk without ever wondering why Dad spent hours with me every day. Without asking why his assistant had a PhD in engineering." Let me rewind. My family is from an old money background. My father, Mr. Montgomery, was a strict but brilliant man. He was passionate about innovation and technology. My mother, a gentle and kind woman, passed away when I was 20. While my siblings were out living their glamorous lives, I stayed home with Dad. He was heartbroken, often spending nights in his study, scribbling down ideas for new technologies. One night, I brought him coffee and asked what he was working on. "Nothing that works," he admitted, showing me sketches for a new energy-efficient system. "I can't get the thermodynamics right." I studied his drawings and then picked up a pencil. "What if you tried this?" That night, we worked until dawn, and it changed everything. I had a knack for seeing solutions he missed and understanding the science he struggled with. "You should study engineering," Dad said. "You're brilliant, Lucille. But the others will think you're trying to take over." He looked at me sadly. "They haven't been home in months." So, I studied. I started at a local community college, then transferred to a state university, and finally got my master's and PhD from Stanford. All the while, I worked at Montgomery Enterprises, officially as Dad's secretary, but unofficially as the brain behind every major innovation. Henry would breeze into board meetings, taking credit for quarterly profits he didn't understand. Olivia would crunch numbers without knowing what generated them. Ethan would schmooze with clients, promising products I hadn't even started designing. And I sat at my desk outside Dad's office, dealing with their dismissive requests. "Lucille, coffee for the board meeting." "Lucille, did you pick up my dry cleaning?" "Lucille, tell Dad I need a bigger budget." They never noticed the second monitor on my desk showing CAD software, never questioned the technical manuals, and never wondered why big-name companies called asking for me. I once asked Dad, why not tell them about the patents and designs? "Because they don't see you," he said simply. "They see a secretary, a servant. Build your empire quietly. When the time is right, they'll know who really runs this company." Now is that time. Henry shouts, "This has to be fraud. You tricked Dad, manipulated an old man." Mr. Thompson cuts him off. "I've been handling this family's affairs for 35 years. Your father was of sound mind when every patent was filed. He insisted Lucille's name be on them because she was the only one who understood the science." Olivia protests, but the will says the company is divided among the 3 of us. Lucille gets the house and personal effects. Mr. Thompson nods. The company is yours. But the patents are Dr. Lucille's personal property. They were never company assets. I watch as realization dawns on their faces. They own a company that needs my patents to survive, and I own patents that can be licensed to anyone. You planned this, Ethan accuses. Dad planned this, I correct. I just made it happen. For 15 years, you've treated the company like your personal piggy bank and me like a piece of furniture. Do you know the product that landed us a major government contract last year? It took me 4 years to develop. You celebrated with champagne while I was still at my desk, working on improvements. Henry asks, his voice cracking, so, what do you want? Money? A promotion? A bigger office? I want you to see me, I say simply. Really see me. Not as the secretary you make fun of at family gatherings. Not as the assistant whose name you forget to mention to investors. But as the person who built what you're so eager to inherit. Olivia grits her teeth. Fine. You're brilliant. A genius. Whatever. What are your terms? I pull out a licensing agreement. You can use my 52 patents for a fee. 30% of gross revenue. 30%? That's highway robbery. Henry explodes. That's industry standard for patents this valuable, Mr. Thompson interjects. In fact, it's on the low end. I continue, or you can sell me your shares. I'll give you the fair market value of the company without the patents, about $6 million split 3 ways. Ethan protests, the company is worth $60 million. With my patents, yes, I agree. Without them, you have a nice building and some expensive machines that can't legally produce anything I designed, which is everything. Olivia tries, Dad wouldn't want this. He wouldn't want us fighting. Dad's gone, I say flatly. And he spent the last 15 years watching you ignore me while I kept his legacy alive. Do you know his last words to me? Don't let them diminish you anymore, Lucille. You built this. Make them see it. The room falls silent. I can see them thinking, calculating, realizing how badly they've been outmaneuvered by the sister they dismissed. Henry says weakly, we could fight this in court. You could, I agree. But while we're in litigation, the patents will be frozen. No production, no sales, no revenue. How long before the company goes bankrupt? 3 months? 6? Ethan mutters, this is blackmail. This is business, I counter. Something you'd know if you'd spent less time on the golf course and more time understanding our business. Olivia asks, what if we refuse both options? I shrug. Then I'll take my patents to our biggest competitor, Horizon Tech. They've been trying to recruit me for years. I'm sure they'd love to have the technology to crush Montgomery Enterprises. Their faces turn pale. Henry says, you wouldn't. That would destroy Dad's company. Dad's company was built on my innovations, I remind them. If you can't respect that, maybe it should be destroyed. Mr. Thompson clears his throat. Perhaps we should take a break. Let everyone process this. As my siblings leave the room, Mr. Thompson holds me back. Your father would be proud, he says quietly. He always said you were the one who inherited his intellect, not just his wealth. I sigh. He could have made this easier. Put me in the will properly. He wanted them to choose, Mr. Thompson explains. To recognize your value on their own or face the consequences. I think we both know which they'll choose. An hour later, they return. Henry looks like he's aged 10 years. We've discussed it, he says formally. We'll take the licensing agreement, but we have conditions. I'm listening, I say. You work with us, not against us. You keep developing new products. You attend board meetings as the chief technology officer, not the secretary. So now you want me involved? I ask. Now that you know I hold the keys to the kingdom? Yes, Olivia says simply. We were wrong. We saw what we wanted to see, a little sister playing secretary. We didn't look deeper. Dad tried to tell us, Ethan adds quietly. He always said Lucille is the real genius here. We thought he was just being nice. Patronizing, I correct. You thought he was indulging his least ambitious child. They can't deny it. Here's my counter offer, I say. I'll license the existing patents at 25%. For new innovations, I want 50% ownership and my name on everything. I want a seat on the board, not as family, but as the majority patent holder. And I want a formal apology, published in the company newsletter, acknowledging that for 15 years, Dr. Lucille has been the innovative force behind Montgomery Enterprises while being dismissed as secretarial staff. Henry bristles. That's humiliating. So is being introduced as Dad's helper at the International Business Summit where several CEOs were trying to recruit me, I shoot back. They exchange looks, having a silent conversation I've never been part of. Done, Henry finally says. All of it. I add, and one more thing. I want Dad's old office. It's the CEO's office now, Henry protests. I'm using it. Then you'd better start packing, I say. The secretary is moving up. The transition was tough. Employees who had served me coffee for years struggled to call me Dr. Lucille. Board members who had ignored me suddenly wanted my input on everything. The industry press had a field day with the story of the secret genius sister. But the hardest part was dealing with my siblings. They tried, I'll give them that. Henry started reading my technical reports. Olivia finally learned what our products were all about. Ethan even attended an engineering workshop to understand the technical terms. One day, as Ethan was looking at my latest design, he said, "This is really fascinating. How did you learn all this?" "Years of night classes while you were at parties," I said. "Weekends in the lab while you were at the beach." I learned because I had to. Because someone needed to understand Dad's vision and make it better. Olivia said quietly, "We wasted so much time looking down on you while you were building our future. You couldn't see past your assumptions about what a youngest sister should be," I said. "Dad saw," Henry said. "He must have laughed at us behind our backs." "He didn't laugh," I corrected. "He was disappointed. He wanted you to see me for who I am, not who you expected me to be. But you never looked beyond the surface." 6 months later, Montgomery Enterprises launched my latest innovation, a revolutionary energy storage system that tripled energy capacity and halved charging time. The industry went crazy. Stock prices skyrocketed. We were on the cover of every tech magazine. At the press conference, Henry introduced me as the brilliant mind behind Montgomery Enterprises' success, my sister, Dr. Lucille. Not secretary, not assistant. Sister, doctor, and brilliant. A reporter asked, "How does it feel to go from secretary to the most powerful person in the company?" "I was always the most powerful person in the company," I corrected. "I just had to wait for everyone else to notice." That night, I stood in Dad's old office, now mine, looking at the wall of patents. Each one represented a late night, a breakthrough, a moment when being dismissed made me work harder. My siblings had tried to divide Dad's business without me, but they forgot that without me, there was no business to divide. The secretary they'd ignored had been signing her name on their future all along. And when they finally read the fine print, they discovered what Dad always knew: the quietest person in the room is often the one holding all the cards. In my case, all the patents.